The Buffalo Bayou, Brazos and Colorado Railway was the first operating railroad in Texas. Name: the Colorado in its name refers to the Colorado River of Texas, not the state of Colorado. In the line's early days, it was often called the Harrisburg Railroad. In 1868, it changed owners and became the Galveston, Harrisburg, and San Antonio Railroad. It was the oldest component of the Southern Pacific System. Since the 1996 merger, the former Southern Pacific operates under the Union Pacific name. The old Buffalo Bayou, Brazos and Colorado right-of-way was renamed the Union Pacific Glidden Subdivision, operating between Allentown, Texas and the former Harrisburg, Texas, which was annexed by Houston. History: Andrew Briscoe initiated the first attempt to establish a railroad from Harrisburg, Texas to the Brazos and Colorado rivers. Houston's Morning Star published a notice on May 16, 1840 entitled Harrisburg and Brazos Railroad that claimed, "A large number of laborers are engaged at present in throwing up the track and preparing for rails at an early season, and a greater number will soon be employed." The first successful attempt to establish a Harrisburg Railroad line was Texian General Sidney Sherman, a hero of the Battle of San Jacinto. In 1847, Sherman purchased from the Harrisburg Town Company the unused town lots previously allocated to the failed Harrisburg and Brazos Railroad. He planned to finance the railroad with the proceeds of 1272 unsold lots totaling 3,617 acres in Harrisburg, TX. The plan was to form a strategic relationship with Galveston, bypassing Houston for freight from the Brazos River Valley. After finding northern investors, he succeeded in chartering the company by act of the Texas legislature on February 11, 1850, and organizing it on June 1 of that year. Jonathan F. Barrett was the company's first president, and the company included some of the leading men of the state. General Sherman himself, Hugh McLeod, John G. Todd, John Angier, William Rice, Ebenezer A. Allen, William A. Van Alstyne, James H. Stevens, Benjamin A. Shepard, and William J. Hudgens. Surveying began in 1851 near Buffalo Bayou. The roadbed was graded by Benjamin Franklin Terry, who would later lead Terry's Texas Rangers. The next year, the first locomotive, the General Sherman, was received and the first track laid. By August 1853, 20 miles had been completed to Stafford Point. The charter called for the line to connect Harrisburg to the state capital at Austin. The line reached Richmond on the Brazos in 1855, Eagle Lake in 1859, and Allentown in 1860. Although the Civil War stopped construction towards Austin, the citizens of Columbus, Texas, constructed a 2.5 miles branch track on their own, connecting the town to the rail at Allentown to avoid being passed by. With the financial collapse of Texas during Reconstruction, the line failed. Fortunate in that it had been constructed using standard gauge, its track and rolling stock were purchased and reincorporated as the Galveston, Harrisburg, and San Antonio Railroad. The route was directed towards San Antonio, rather than Austin, using the Columbus branch as part of the new main line. The new owners also constructed the first telegraphs along the route. After reaching San Antonio, the road was continued to El Paso, where it met the Southern Pacific and ensured that that line's transcontinental route would use the southern portion of Texas rather than the north. Harrisburg is now part of Houston, and the line is sometimes misrepresented as beginning there. In the mid-19th century, the two cities were several miles apart and in stiff competition with one another. The Harrisburg Railroad brought the city some prosperity, but the tap connected Houston to the B.B. C. lines in 1858, and after Charles Morgan's Texas and New Orleans Railroad completed a connection between Houston and New Orleans in 1880. Even the Galveston, Harrisburg, and San Antonio lines sold the properties within Harrisburg and moved to the new hub. At the end of 1924, it operated 1,380 miles of railroad on 1,890 miles of track. Locomotives